Thank you, Sister Ellen Kate Horton. Please welcome Brother Tyrone McCarty to present our next award.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. How you doing? Our next past president to be honored is Brother Dale Butler. At the age of 28, Brother Dale Butler was appointed principal of St. George's Secondary School, 12 years, then Dalwood Primary, 4 years. Mr. Butler joined the PLP at the age of 16 and was first elected in the party's historic win in 1998. He served in a number of cabinet roles, including youth, sports, social rehabilitation, and culture. Besides being a former parliamentarian and educator, a former BUT president, and cabinet minister of the Bermuda government, Mr. Butler has an extensive background in restaurants, festivals, research, oral history, playwriting, and documentaries. As a publisher for 40 years, he has won a number of awards, has penned many books on a variety of topics, and is also well known for his fish cakes.
I returned to Bermuda in 1976, having a degree in history and English with honors from the University of Sussex, having taught nursery, elementary, and secondary school. I was offered a position at the Victor Scott School, and I immediately joined the Bermuda Union of Teachers, where I found some very prominent people on the executive. For 5 years, they had a long list of things that they wanted to do. When I was asked to become the president, I looked at that list with the late Angela Swan and Mr. Winston Laylaw. We formed a team of 3, and we worked extremely hard to put into place all of those things that the union had struggled to get into operation during that time. I will never forget how some of the older teachers and principals in particular were concerned about having 3/4% taken from their salary. And they defeated it over and over. They spoke against it. And what we noticed was that around 5 o'clock, most of them left. They had young families and they would have to go and collect their children. So what we decided to do, especially Melvin Bassett, we filibustered the vote, the final vote that we were going to take. And so Melvin Bassett got up and talked about hamburgers and cafeterias and about KBB, nothing to do with the motion. We filibustered until we had a count that appeared as though most of the senior members had left. Once we realized that, us young Turks, us young members put up our hand and voted it in. Since I was president, the union has gone from strength to strength, and I would like to encourage every member to continue to take the union seriously, to build on the foundation that was given to us at a very difficult time. Let me congratulate the union today for building on the foundation that every president hoped matters would be resolved, and for showing the type of leadership. You have your buildings, you have various programs, and I commend you for building on the legacy that was given to you by the founders in 1919, who had a very, very difficult struggle in those days. And so I can only salute you and wish you the best, and hope you continue to set items on the agenda and to continue to work hard to accomplish them and not just talk about them over and over.
Congratulations, teachers. First of all, let me thank the Academy for this award. At the age of 28, I was encouraged by Cleveland Critchlow to apply for the principalship at St. George's Secondary School, only to arrive at 9 o'clock and discover that there were 12 applicants. At 4 o'clock, I still hadn't been interviewed by Jimmy Brock. His name has been mentioned twice already tonight. As Mr. Brock came out of his office, I said, Mr. Brock, I'm Dale, but I know who you are. I'm here, I'm entitled to an interview. You're not entitled to anything. Mr. Brock, my name is on the list. I'd like to become the principal of St. George's Secondary School. Mr. Brock said I should have closed that school. Politicians want it closed. I told them to close that school, but they want to keep it open. I said, Mr. Brock, well, interview me. He says, well, I'm late for a meeting. I said, Mr. Brock, he encouraged me to come into his office. When I got in his office and I was about to sit, he says, we don't have any time for you to sit down. I only have one question. One question. He said, you better get it right. He said, that school, I should close it. Why should I keep that school open and give you the job? I said, Mr. Brock, there are only 2 men in the world who can turn that school around, and they're both in this room.
Thank you, Brother Dale Butler. Thank you very much. Please welcome Brother Cranston Williams for the next award.
Good evening once again, brothers and sisters. Our next past president to be honored is Dr. Michael Charles. Forgive me, Dr. Charles. Michael Andrew Charles, JP, HLD, was born in Grenada in 1975, and he moved to Bermuda to begin a 20-year legacy of passing on his love of sports to the students of Paget Primary. His passion for track and field found him on the track supporting athletes as Bermuda's assistant national coach. Michael has been a guiding presence in the Bermuda of teachers for 4 decades as member, executive member, and president. This January 2019, he marks 20 years of service in the role of General Secretary. In recognition of his relentless advocacy for public education and the rights of educators in Bermuda, Endicott College conferred upon Michael Andrew Charles an honorary doctorate of Humane Letters. He proudly continues to serve.
Well, my first introduction was way back in the 70s when I started being involved in the BUT. The president was Aurelia Birch, so this was a long time ago. Well, back then, industrial action meant people didn't go to work. There were no working to rule or things of that sort. What we had was back then, sometimes what we had was rolling outages where schools, different schools would go out. One of the schools that was always preeminent when it came to industrial action was West End. They were they were together. They were really, what you call staunch union members, and we can always call on them if we wanted a school to call in sick or just not to show up. Union is made up of its members. If we all stay together, there is nothing that can move us. Nothing at all can move us if we all stay together. I have been around a long time, and it gives me goosebumps to think that we could be around for such a long time. I see the gains daily that we've made. I look back and I read the history, and we are a powerful force. And I want to congratulate all those who came before us and all those who are going to follow us, because we have a legacy that will last for as long as education and trade unionism is in this country. So well done and congratulations.
Brothers and sisters,
But I am really proud this evening to stand here before this august body. There were times when I had my doubts as to how this is going to turn out. But we have some marvelous young people who have made this night what it is. And I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Charles. I would now like to call Sister Gina Butterfield to present the next award.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. Our next past president to be honored is Brother Walter Stevens. Walter Joe Stevens taught at Sands Secondary School until he chose to further his education at Queen's University with a Master's of Education. He has served the community as the chairman of the PLP Warwick Branch, president of the Purvis Primary PTA, chairman of the General Mathematics BSSC Committee, and is a life vice president of the Devonshire Colts Football Club. Mr. Stevens found incredible fulfillment in teaching. He believes that education and educators must find whatever there is in students that will make them yearn for completion of their education, and to construct learning that would enable students to autonomously complete their education.
My introduction to the union was just from a teacher's point of view, was concerned with, what's going on and the way I can help. I came in when it was 1 year, each one of the presidents had 1 year, but during my time it was the first time they had 3 years. I started with 3 years. What year it was, right now I'm out of it. But my term was 3 years, not the 1 year that they had. It was multiple years. Mostly it was single years before. And I haven't seen, during my time, I didn't think it was a lot of conflict. We had the regular thing where you negotiate and stuff like that, but that's generally the same thing. But I think we had, at my time, I think it was a very excellent time, really. I think the union has had an excellent position in the form of the education, right? And then that, and being that, one of the first unions to form in Bermuda, I think that mean, and to last this long, it really says something. And I think for it to continue, we need to have a more equal say in how things should be done in considering the type of finance that might be needed, I think we need to be able to give and to take. I think instead of just being in a position that you do this and do that. I think the government will have to try to be more compromising in negotiating with the union, I think in the union, they know that in order to understand what they're there for the education of the children, and that should be the main cause, and not what you can do or what I can do.
I would like to thank the committee. I think they've done an excellent job today. The hard work they had, we can all appreciate what they've done. let them keep on, continue to do the work that they do. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Walter Stevens. Please welcome Josine Butterfield to present the next award.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. It is my pleasure to introduce our next past president to be honored, and he is Mr. Glenn Fobler. Brother Glenn Fobler, past president, 1984-1986. Past organizer, 1986-1989. Glenn Fobler served as a teacher's rep for the Berkeley Institute in the late 1970s, subsequently serving as a member of the union's executive. As a community activist, Mr. Fobler organized the Family Support Committee to assist families of the BIU's government division during the 1981 strikes. In that context, he championed the idea of teachers staging a one-day sympathy strike. In 1983, he chaired an ABUT committee to stage the first education conference, which would serve to foster professional development of educators as well as raise awareness in the wider community. From this blossomed the illustrious Bermuda Union of Teachers Conference in October.
Well, I started teaching at the Berkeley in '74, and in the earlier days when I first started, I was too radical to come and get involved with the teachers union. They were too conservative for me. But when I came back, I went back to school and came back in '78, and I started to become involved. The first specific thing I remember was in '81. In fact, I was going over the old minutes, and I see that I made a motion at Ruth Eaton James to amend a motion to increase the dues. Somebody made a motion to increase the dues to $10. And I made a motion, I actually saw the record, it was February 8th, I believe, 1981, in which I made a motion to change it to percentage, 0.5% of your wage. And the motion went through with something like, I think 62 people voted in favor and about 13 against, and maybe 4 abstained. There is a tendency to look back and get kind of nostalgic about what was, but what our founders did, they had a vision of what could be. And the 21st century is the time, the most important time for education, period. So in the hands of teachers, but not just teachers, as I was saying earlier, that building a sense of collaboration with this whole community. If you think of Bermuda, if we could have a vision of Bermuda as a school, the whole of Bermuda is the school, and it's about using those resources and the vision and experience that teachers, individual teachers have in their classrooms, and collectively as a union to help to move Bermuda and our whole globe forward on this thing of growing and developing each and every person that comes through this island.
Brothers and sisters, please join me as we welcome the Bermuda Union of Teachers past president, Mr. Glenn Fobler.
me copy my namesake over there, Dale Fabler. But I'd like to thank my wife, because in 1983, you heard about the first conference that we had, 1983. My wife and I got married that summer in August 7th, right, sweetheart? In New York. Only about 6 people there. You know how I do my thing. I remember Bobby Horton was saying, "Glenn got married? Oh, whoa." And then September, I think it was 3rd or 4th, we had to organize the conference. And people like Veronica Mitchell and so many people like yourselves, that the union is more than the presidents. We are the figurehead. You rely on us for leadership, for vision, etc. But everybody, the term union is talking about everybody. But it even extends beyond the boundaries of what we call our union, the Bermuda Union of Teachers. It's an organic thing. You'll see tonight that I brought a good friend of ours, especially for this night, Audie Simmons. Let's just give a round of applause to Audie Simmons, because the organic link between these unions, 1919 was a vision. 1919 was a vision, but it wasn't a closed vision, like we all stay at our tables or in our silos. It was an organic vision. It was about generosity. It was about recognizing that human spirit is everywhere in the land. Here in 2019, we're at another crossroads. We have this inspiration, this flame that we got from those people back in 1919, and we're asked right now, all of us, not some of us, all of us are being asked, what are we going to do? Are we going to carry that flame? Are we going to open that door for young people? Not some young people, not just some young people from some schools, but all young people. Let's join that effort. Let's come together. Let's collaborate. Thank you very much.